What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Nothing But Skills, and today we're going to be talking about the state of the game and all the big news that they announced for Division 2. So we got a lot of really big news and a lot of things to talk about, and the video is really going to be self-explanatory once we get into it, but we'll break down what they talked about in between each segment, and then hopefully you guys found this video useful and leave a thumbs up. If you have any questions or your thoughts about this, use the comment section down below, and as always, if you're new to my channel, first time watching the video, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so when I release a video you guys get notified. And let's get into the state of the game. The first thing they talk about is update number 3 and when it's coming.
Hello everyone and welcome to State of the Game 119 on the 8th of May. My name's Hamish and today I'm joined by my good old pal Yannick Ben-Chirot.
Wow.
I did the thing with the
Hello.
The thing I want to start off with is that TU3 is on the way.
Yeah.
Yannick, do you want to say when it's coming?
TU3 as in title update 3 because like we use that term a lot internally. I don't know if it's good for everyone.
And it sounds like title.
Title. Right?
Title update.
Title.
It's confusing.
Title update.
There you go.
So yes, title update 3. So the next big one is coming next week.
That also does.
I can hear all the people cheering from
I know,
because that's very anticlimactic here.
No, I want to clarify also that the raid will follow shortly after.
Yes.
And you will want to stay tuned to all division channels early next week for exactly information regarding that.
So yeah, just to be clear, it is part of title update 3. It is implemented with the update, but we are not opening it right away. We're going to open it a bit later. So people have time to prepare with all the title update 3 changes.
Yep. But next week you will know that pretty quickly. So
next week you'll get.
I'm excited.
Title update.
Next week's a big one.
So next week we should finally have the next update, and then the week after we should have the raid. That's what they're kind of going with. The next thing they addressed was Gearscore, so let's listen to what they had to say.
Gearscore, the whole 500, 515 thing. Yes. Where are we at with that, Yannick?
Yeah, so as you said, I mean, there's been obviously a big discussion about it, big discussion in the community, big discussion here between all the teams from all the different studios. We looked at it all together. And, you know, one thing that's very important for us is, like, our main intention was to try to make the Dark Zone more appealing, more interesting. But actually, there's already a lot of changes we're doing to the Dark Zone with Title Update 3. Some, you know, like they are listed in dispatch notes, and we're going to talk about some of them. And what it came down to was looking at Gearscore in general, and we just thought that now is just not the right time to increase the Gearscore. People have just barely made it to 500. Of course, some people have made it to 500, you know, a few hours after releasing Title Update 2. But for a lot of people, they're not even there yet, or they're there, but they haven't had time to really finish their build. We have a raid coming, so the last thing we want to do is just tell people, hey, Title Update 3 comes out, and you have to start over again. We want people to, you know, keep building on the gear that they've been, you know, collecting already. So yeah, the decision we've made is that we are not increasing Gearscore with Title Update 3. So maximum Gearscore is going to remain at 500.
So I think it's a smart move right here because the game's only been out, what, about 2 months. And think about it, we've been grinding gear. We already have a lot of changes coming to those talents. To have to regrind gear to try to get that max gear score would be another grind, right? Versus the game's only been out 2 months. There isn't that many people who have even hit 500 or they're just getting to 500. We'll let them enjoy that. They still have to grind for those talents. And then later on, as the game evolves, we can bump up the gear score. The next thing they get into is survivability and wanting people to have the option to spec into survivability and be worth it, right? Listen what they had to say.
We want to make choices in survivability meaningful. We want people to be able to actually spec in survivability if they want, or at least when they get armor bonuses and armor percentage and all of that, really feel like, you know, I can be more tanky, and potentially I can be a tank. So that's something that we really wanted, and that's something we've tested on the PTS, and we've seen already people coming up with new builds and new ways to leverage that. So that was really the intention there. And then for gear sets, I mean, you mentioned it's just across the board, just making them more interesting and more powerful because they could be a bit disappointing at the moment.
Sure. The other thing, I just wanted to remind people that all of the information that we're going through it right now is coming in TU3, which we announced earlier in the stream is hitting us next week.
Yes.
As also a reminder, the raid will release or be unlocked shortly after that, and we will have exact timings for that next week as well.
The next thing they dive into that I found was really important is loot, right? Like Gearscore 500 stuff dropping. Listen to what they had to say.
What have we got for loot, Yannick? Next page.
It's Dark Zone 1. Dark Zone contaminated loot does not drop below player's average gear score and will guarantee gear score 500 when the player has reached 500 gear score.
That's great.
So basically what we're saying here is that when you're reaching a 500 gear score, now you're guaranteed to, all the contaminated stuff you're going to get is going to be 500. So that means going to the Dark Zone, even though we don't have the 515 anymore, going to the Dark Zone is going to be a very, very good source of getting 500 gear.
Please.
In the same logic,
Great.
heroic difficulty mission bosses, stronghold bosses, bounty bosses, and control point alert level 4 reward containers will guarantee gear score 500 when the player has reached 500 gear score.
Yay, PvE as well.
We want to limit, that situation when you're 500 and you're dropping for 90.
Yeah.
Because it's not a great experience. So we want to limit that, and especially that's when what I was saying earlier, we want to make it predictable that if you're playing challenging things, you want to get rewards that are, at least more likely to be an upgrade. And that means that you want rewards that are on par with the gear score you have, or better if you're not yet at 500. Reduce the chances of items dropping at a lower gear score than players' average gear score.
Perfect.
So that's across the board. So that doesn't mean it's never going to happen, but it's way less likely.
Cool.
That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good news. If you are in the Dark Zone, get contaminated items, they're going to be 500. If you do those heroic missions, level 4 control points, those missions will also have a chance of dropping 500 stuff and nothing below. So you're rewarded for doing harder activities. Now, they did get into recalibration, and listen what they had to say.
We also talked about how recalibration works, and that was when we were having the conversation about 515 and 500.
Yep.
Basically, when you are looking at a gear piece of 500, those will no longer go over 500. Instead, there will be the option, or there will be a separated statistic, a recalibration score, which it's completely separate. So you'll have 500, and then you'll have out of 100 for the recal score.
Yeah. It's basically, it's not just 500, but it's basically recalibration does not change your gear score anymore. No. Recalibration value goes into its own number that basically allows you to see how well recalibrated your gear is, but that's not going to change your gear score. So you cannot artificially just boost your gear score.
Yeah, so an optimized build will still be 500.
Yeah.
And then you will look at each individual piece. So it'll be 500, and then 100 out of 100 for each of those pieces would be the cap.
Yeah, you get the total, but basically, yes, it's a value that is from 0 to 100. 100 means you got the best recalibration you can.
So that's pretty cool. They got into recalibration and how no longer will your gear score go over 500. Remember, before you could push it to 500, 505, 506, but now it caps at 500. Then you'll have a recalibration score for each piece from 0 to 100 to say how well that piece is recalibrated. The next thing they go into is a couple skill and talents, and listen to what they had to say.
Just quickly, the skill changes. The assault drone in PvE, the drone will now more actively look for a new target once it loses its current target. The defender drone, and I guess this is both PvE and PvP, will now drain more quickly once a shot has been deflected. I know a lot of people are using that in PvP, so we'll have to see what that means. Reinforce a chem launcher. The gas clouds do not stack anymore. Take note. The reviver hive. There's been bugs with that. More occurrences of those have been fixed.
Yes.
The revive time has been slightly increased, but it should be more reliable. I think there may be still some instances that we're waiting to see.
Yeah, we're still looking at any situations where the revive might not work. There's a lot of potential awkward cases where things are just preventing it from working and all that. So every time we get new cases, we're looking at it. But we've fixed a bunch of
Great.
occurrences.
The base duration of the riot foam when used against an NPC has been increased. The scanner pulse has had its cooldown reduced from 120 to 90 seconds.
So some really cool changes that they just mentioned right there, and they said there's a bunch of other changes that they couldn't get into because there's just so many. We just have to wait for the update to drop. The next thing they get into is weapons, and one that I'm excited about is the AR buff. Listen to what they had to say about that.
Speaking of weapons, the SOCOM MK20 SSR now has a skin slot from specialized quality and up, so that's the one change you can do on that before the raid drops if you want that gun to look way nicer.
The most important change out there.
I like this one. I don't even need to read all of them. Exotics are having their damage increased.
Yeah, all of them.
Just across the board.
Yeah.
And also the TAC 50 now has 2 zoom states. If, like me, you're running sharpshooter.
Yes.
That's cool.
That's
I
cool.
can't wait to see exactly what those are, but I like that. PvP specific things. So in Conflict, the armor boost has been reduced by 50%. Same thing for the damage boost, actually. Yes. Also, the way that balancing works, it wasn't, and still it's not communicated. Oh, no, it is in the UI. Players are now scaled to max world tier gear score across the board. And there are some PvP specific overrides, so weapon and skill global damage modifiers will be tweaked, and weapon and skill damage modifiers as well. So people who are wondering if there's PvP and PvE specific balancing, that is a true fact. Assault rifles, for example, now have a 1.25 PvP damage scaler applied. So I guess that is going to be interesting to see what metas erupt out of that. And there are skill behavior overrides as well. Cool. On that note, the damage modifier has been reduced in PvP, so people have experienced that on the PTS, and we'll see the final one next week. So there's a generally increased time to kill
in PvP. Yes,
PvP.
Absolutely.
And that has various implications for a lot of different things, and we'll keep an eye on that as we go forward, I'm sure.
But there should be, I mean, PvP should feel quite different with Title Update 3.
Yeah.
So you heard it from them. PvP should feel different. So for all of you PvP players that want something that feels different than what we currently have in Division 2, you should be happy. Let's see what happens once the update drops.
What's happening in the Dark Zone? Yeah.
Dark Zone. So what do we have in here? Contaminated loot. Bosses now guarantee a contaminated loot drop. So
cool.
And remember, Gearscore changes. So contaminated, if you're 500, now guarantees 500 as well. Higher challenge landmarks can drop multiple contaminated items. Basic, veteran, and elite NPCs have their drop rate lowered, but now have a very high chance to drop contaminated loot.
Nice. Do you think we'll see more people in the Dark Zone? I know there's been also some matchmaking things.
There's also some matchmaking changes. I mean, that's the intention. It's to make the Dark Zone more interesting, but again, without making people feel like they have to go there if they don't want to, but at least the people that want to go there and wouldn't go there because currently it wasn't rewarding or the experience wasn't fun, this is addressed to them. This is addressed to making the Dark Zone more interesting and more fun. So
it looks like some of the small changes they're trying to make to the Dark Zone. Hopefully we get more engagements, more players in there, more people in there having fun. And then it'll be rewarding too, right? If you go into the Dark Zone, you'll be rewarded for being in there, and you'll want to go fight players. You'll want to go clear landmarks. You'll want to just enjoy that special environment that the Dark Zone offers that no other game in the world offers at this moment. So it looks like we finally get the update that we've been waiting for. I know a lot of you guys wish this would have came a lot sooner, but hey, the game's only been out, what, roughly 2-3 months, and what can you say? They're making the changes that were needed to be made. They're trying to improve the PvP, try to improve PvE, trying to make sure that everybody's having fun, not just the PvE community, not just the PvP community, but the Division 2 community overall. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What do you guys think about the changes coming? Are you guys excited about next week? And are you excited to dive back into the Division 2? Hopefully you guys are. I am. And I will see you guys in the Division 2. I will be playing on console, on PS4, and on PC. I'm almost done with my character on PC. I just got to keep grinding a couple more pieces. And then hopefully I'll see you guys out there running around, doing PvE missions, playing PvP, and just having a lot of fun. If you guys have any questions on this video, use the comment section down below. Smash the thumbs up if you found this video useful. And as always, if you don't see me in conflict, if you don't see me in the Dark Zone, it's only a matter of time. Nothing but skills out.